Welcome to my craft table. Hello, this is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'd like to show you how I made this card, and then I'm going to step it up and show you alternatives to make it step it up even a little bit more. So we're going to start with a clean hashtag simple stamping card, step it up a little bit, and then we'll step it up even more to make it an avid stamper's card. So let's get started. We're going to be using the Rooted in Nature, this tree here. For the background, I had just picked up a piece of scrap off of my desk. It happened to be from this wreath here that I cut out. It's an all-around wreath dies. You can also do it just by cutting out a shape out of a piece of paper. I just traced, for this one I just traced a lid, a jar lid, and then I just cut around it. But I'm going to use this, and then the other stamp that I'm using is this one here, out of Nature's Beauty. We'll also be using the dies that go along with the tree. I forgot what they're called. It's not written on here, I'm sorry. We're going to be using this tree and the snow hill. And then we have the star, which is from a retired set. I didn't have any stars stamps in my current collection, so I'm using this star from Night of Bethlehem, the Bethlehem Edgelit dies, to cut it out. Alright, if you have this set, I didn't order it yet. This is from page 11, So Many Stars. This would be awesome to use, but I don't have it yet, so. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start with the simple stamping one, which requires half a sheet of cardstock, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4, and this is the thick. I have this that was cut out from that wreath die, which was just a scrap on my desk. And again, to do this, which would be very similar, let's go ahead and use it so you can see how to use it. All I did was for this one, I think I took a cup lid or a jar and traced it, and then I just took my scissors. I'll show you. So I just took the lid, traced it with my pencil, make sure it's where I wanted it on there. And this is just some paper out of my printer paper, copy machine paper, whatever you want to call it. So I just traced it. Okay, I folded it so I could cut a little bit out, get into the center. And then I just cut a jaggedy edge. I didn't want it to be smooth. I wanted it to be, I don't know why, I just wanted it to be a little bit more. You could just cut out a circle if you wanted. That would work as well. Would be cleanery, but that's basically all I did. Okay, so let's bring this one in then, since it's already cut out. Line it up where you want it on your paper. I'm using Blueberry Bushel ink. That's the only ink I'm using. And Versamark for the Avid Crafter one. And I'm using a makeup brush. I got this at Walmart. So I'm gonna, I don't know if if you can see, let's move the stamps out of the way so you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to hold this in place. I'm going to tap it onto the paper first to get a little bit so it's not quite as harsh, and then I'm just going to ink around it. The heavier cardstock is a little bit easier to use because it's a little stiffer, so it stays in place better. Okay. And that's all I did for that part. Okay, so we'll put that aside for now. Okay, then we took our tree, we inked it up. We stamped it so that the bottom of the tree was down here towards the bottom of this circle. Oops, I must have touched the paper. Firm, even pressure. Perfect. Okay, then the sentiment, a reason to celebrate. I stamp down here. And then I stamped the star up here at the top. Oh, I haloed that one. I have to remember to use a softer touch. Then I've got the little polka dots. I used it for snow. I just turn it a little bit each time so you get a little bit different pattern. And that's my simple card. Here's one I did previously. On this one I added a rhinestone to it. So take one of the rhinestones, and add it to the center of that star. Okay, there's a simple one. The next one, did everything the same way, except I stamped the tree on a separate piece of paper and cut it out, and I cut out the star out of silver foil. So let's get started. For that, I used one of the silver foil edge note cards, some dimensionals, a piece of silver foil to cut out the star with, a piece which is 4 by 5 1/4 of the thick white, and a scrap piece to cut out to stamp my tree on. Okay, so let's get started. Let's do the background like we did before. I'm going to go ahead and use this piece. It's a little thicker and it's easier to stay put. Okay, bring in my, excuse me. Alright, sorry about that. Never fails. Okay, let's get her, ink it up, tap it onto the paper, and very softly start. As you get a little bit of it off, you can apply a little bit more pressure if you need to. Okay, you could use a sponge for that. That would work just fine too. Okay, now we're going to do the same technique, except instead of stamping the tree on there, we're going to stamp the tree onto our scrap paper. Where did it go? I'll use this. aside, let it dry so I can cut it out in a moment. Alright, now we're going to bring this back in. We're going to stamp our sentiment down here at the bottom. We're going to stamp our star. Don't want to get that halo from before. Okay, we're going to stamp those snowflakes. Just going to fill that background. Alright. Close that for a minute. Okay, we're going to bring in our card. We're going to adhere this to the front of this card. I'm going to use the Tombow Mono multi-glue. You can use snail. Okay. We're going to add our basic rhinestone to the center of our star. Okay, I'm going to go cut out the tree and the star. Well, the star I already cut out, but the tree I couldn't until I punched it. So I'll pause you and I'll be right back. I'm just going to run it through my die cutting machine. Line it up like that. Tape it down and run it through, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of my tree. I just put two down at the bottom, one up towards the top, and one in the middle. Poke them with my nail to bring up that edge. One more. Okay, that's going to go down here. Okay, now I have some ribbon. Got the silver edge. What's it called? Metallic edge ribbon, silver. And I just wrapped it around my card. This is the tricky part for me. A hard time tying these without it slipping. Tuck that end in. Pull just the one side. Much better than I normally do. Okay, just trim off these edges. And that's the only waste I have. Okay, then I'm going to open the card up and scooch that bow to where I want it on the card. I think I want it down here more. Okay, that's card number 2. Okay, now let's go to card number 3. Oh, I did something wrong here. I just realized I was supposed to put this on there. So let's do that. And you can pop it up. I think on this one I'm going to mount it because I don't really like it popped up on the other one. There we go. And put a rhinestone in the center of that. There we go. That looks better. Okay. Alright, now the third card is a little bit more finicky or fussy. And for that, we have our foil edge, silver edge card. I have a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4 to do the background on. I have a scrap piece to stamp the tree and the star in, and I'm going to do that with embossing powder and with Versamark and silver embossing powder. So let me put you on pause and clean up a little bit so I have space to work here, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had to wash some of the stamps because I'm going to be using them in the Versamark, and I didn't want that blue ink all over my Versamark ink pad. So I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to bring in my ink, and I'm going to ink the background here. A little bit more ink on this one because, oops, I don't quite want that much ink, but because I'm doing silver embossing. That's why you tap it off, so you don't get those marks, but it's alright. It'll work. I'll just do it even a little darker. Okay. Alright, now we're going to bring in the snow one, and we're going to stamp our snow all around it. Okay. I think that's all I want on there. Alright, so let's place that aside for now. I'm going to bring this other piece, and at the bottom edge here I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and I'm going to stamp it with the Versamark. So I'm done with the blue ink. Let's bring in the Versamark. I'm going to bring in my embossing buddy, Seen Better Days, and I'm going to powder this up really well. Okay. Now, oh my goodness, I think I need to clean off my work area. Stuff is falling all on its own today. Okay, ink up my sentiment. I'm going to stamp that down here at the bottom of this strip here. Okay, turn it around, ink up the tree. I'm going to do it this way, it's easier. Make sure it's good and inked. Get the tree over here. Okay, then the star. Make sure I don't have any on the edge. So, very good. Alright, and over here in the middle, I'm going to stamp that star. Alright. Now I'm going to bring in my coffee filters. And this is the silver embossing powder. sure it's good and covered. A little more on my star, this in the corner. Okay, any place where you have embossing powder where you don't want it, you're going to want to wipe it off. A soft, clean paintbrush works great for that. In this instance, I'm just going to use my finger. I need to trim that stamp because it halos really bad. Okay, let's put this embossing powder away so I don't get it everywhere. I have 2 coffee filters, one to collect the powder in as I'm working, the second one to catch any that misses the first time around, so I don't have a huge big mess. And there's dirt in that, so I'm just going to put that into my trash. Alright, close this up, bring in my heat tool. I'm going to show you how. I'm going to put it on the second setting. And do it from the bottom so you can actually see it working. It might take a minute because it hasn't been used in a little bit. Can you see that? Hopefully. Come on. There it goes. So cool. I love watching embossing. Come on. Up to the top. It just works a little bit faster. Make sure there's no areas that have the powder anymore and they're all nice and shiny and smooth. Alright. Tool up so it doesn't be hot sitting on anything. Alright, and I'm going to cut out my tree and my star and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've got my tree and my star cut out. I've also trimmed this so that it's 4 inches by 1.5 inches and that my sentiment is pretty much centered on there. Then I'm going to bring in this, which is 4¼ inches by, it's just a scrap piece, but it's 1 3/4 inches. And I'm going to center this. I'm going to put this up to the edge of that so that it's got that centered space all the way around it. And I'm going to take my snail adhesive and I'm going to put just a tiny little bit on the back. De-stickify it a little bit. Oh, I've got ink under my nails. And I want to line up that top edge. Actually, I think I'm going to trim this down about that much. I'll be right back. Okay. The reason I did that is so when I go to pull it down later, it'll have the right amount of border around it all the way around. Okay, so I'm lining those up against each other at the top edge. And I'm going to temporarily adhere it together. I'm going to come in with this hill. And put that on there. Tape it on. And cut both pieces at once. Okay, and I will be right back as soon as I'm done cutting that out. Okay, I'm back. Let's take this off of here. Take this apart. Okay, now when I slide this down, those edges are going to be the same. And I'm going to be able to have that little bit of a silver edge all the way around it. So let's go ahead and adhere this down. I should have used new plates. See how that silver got all marred up? It's alright. It'll still look pretty. Okay. And we're going to bring in our card base. This is going to get put on here. Let's put that on the card first. Let's adhere this to the front of our card. The reason we're putting this on first is because this is going to hang off the bottom just a little tiny bit. We want to make sure that it's the right amount, although it wouldn't show if it wasn't because it's silver here. Okay, now we're going to adhere this on, and you could put dimensionals behind this if you wanted to, but I'm just going to mount it flat. And this is going to line up with the bottom of the card and the edges. It goes all the way to the edges. Okay, now we're going to bring in our dimensionals. Looks like all we've got left is some edges, so let's use those. And put some on the back of our tree. Take those off, or the backing off. A little piece up here at this top. It's a little bit warped from heat embossing it. Alright, that's going to get mounted. The base of it will be on the hill here. Up to there like that. Now this star needs a dimensional. What should I do with my... star on. Add our gem into the center of the star. Add our ribbon on just like we did before. Trim that end. Trim this so that it looks neat. Adjust the bow so it's where you want it, or the knot. You could put a bow too if you wanted. There you go. There's our card. Now I'm also going to add some gems. Just scatter throughout. Come on. There you go. There we go. There's the card we just made. Here's the one we did previously. Here's the beginner one. And there's the middle of the road. You could add glitter on the tree. You could do all kinds of fun things. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you try this out. Thank you.